the spiritual journey shouldn't be hard work or isn't hard work. If you're scratching your head like I had at one point along my journey, I'm not surprised. It seems to me that a common misconception, certainly at least a partial misunderstanding about spirituality, is that it's hard work, and that perhaps unless you're doing hard work, then you're not spiritual, which I would take issue with. And what I wanted to share in this video is the fact that spirituality is in fact not hard work. It can be. Shadow work absolutely can be, in fact, brutal, brutal and gutting and deep. So I'm not saying that it is not at times very, very deep and very, very hard work. However, in the vast scheme of, at least so far as what I've experienced as my own spiritual journey, and that which I've witnessed of others as well, and some of my friends, here's the takeaway. It doesn't have to be difficult all of the time. In fact, if you find that in your journey of spirituality, you're not having any fun or a lot of fun, I'd urge you to pause and do a little check-in with yourself. Because the thing is, spirituality, from my understanding, is more of this beautiful unfolding. We often joke about it in the spiritual realm about like layers of the onion peeling off and away. And as a gardener, I tend more towards sort of the flowering aspect, like a rose, a bud that blooms like this as we grow and as we open up with our spirituality, which, funny enough, I bet you ties into our heart space, the way that it literally opens throughout your awakening journey. And so I simply wanted to come here today and give you some hope, or perhaps turn that frown upside down, to let you know that no matter what you've heard, I promise you that the entire spiritual journey, it's not all hard work. There are some really, really beautiful times, and I want to invite you to allow yourself to experience that, the unfolding of spirituality, that the unfolding of your life, the unfolding of you understanding yourself better is really beautiful and can in fact be really, really fun at times. Some of the art that I've created during this time of great transformation in my life, which sounds as dramatic as I suppose it's been for me, some of the artistic expression that came out was, well, some of it was beautiful, some of it was not beautiful, some of it was just pure expression of feelings, and sometimes that was trauma. However, sometimes that was beautiful, you know, be that a picture of a rose or that I painted or something like that. Just something beautiful that I enjoy in nature, which I would very much like to paint. To come back to the point, if you happen to be stuck in, and I say this because I had gotten myself stuck in this belief in a way, and it was pretty insidious in the back of my head. I really had fallen into this thought that unless I'm doing hard work spiritually, this might seem a little strange, or, you know, like digging into the shadow all the time and really constantly working at spirituality, I guess you could say, then I wasn't actually progressing and I wasn't awakening, I wasn't becoming more conscious, which is a lie. It is not true, friends. I can tell you that whether or not you're in the thick of doing shadow work, or you're enjoying perhaps the after shadow work, or you're just enjoying a vacation or whatever, you can still be progressing along your spirituality. And in fact, that some of the most magical and beautiful gifts actually come when you're relaxing. Like, say, after you've done a bunch of purging and clearing and realigning with yourself, there's this crazy sense of relief. You actually may feel like a whole new person. And what's really amazing is when you lean into that relaxation, for lack of knowing what else to call them, the downloads, the inspired ideas that will come to you, and the just general sense of peace is so overwhelming that I wanted to share that with you, that there is always light at the end of the tunnel, and to understand fundamentally that spirituality itself is not inherently hard work. It is, in fact, as with everything, a mix of hard work and enjoyment and understanding and growth and many, many, many things. So I hope this video has enlightened you that spirituality does not have to be constant shadow work. It does not have to be constantly, you know, looking into the harder, trickier things about life or into the difficulties. Sometimes it can just be the peace of enjoying the very moment that you're in, and the fact that you have shelter and quiet, and I'm clean, and I have clothing. You know, It's funny because I've talked about gratitude many, many times, and the more grateful you are, or shall I say perhaps the more present you are and grateful at the same time, like you hold those two things, that's real magic in your life. I'm telling you, over the last few days, I spent so much time in gratitude, deep gratitude, because I was also dealing with some really hard stuff. And the funny part was the only, I guess you could call it sucre for that at the time, was knowing that this was going to eventually end, and that I know that chaos leads to order, meaning that at the end of it, myself, my body, my mind was going to be rearranged for more peaceful. And you know what? Today, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying this because in contrast to the last few days where I felt like I was pretty much going to expire, I really physically did not feel good at all. I feel like $1,000,000 today. I literally feel like a new person. And yes, it does help that I just had a shower. However, a chaos does always lead to order, and let me just end it with that. Spirituality does not have to be all digging in the dirt and finding all your the tough stuff. Yes, there's a part of that. And understand that enjoying your life in the present moment is as much a part of spirituality as anything else. So if this video has helped you, please do share it with anyone else that you think it may help. Subscribe, as it really does help out a small content creator like myself looking to get the message out there to those who need to hear it. And last but not least, my beautiful spirit soul, if you need any help or coaching, feel so free to reach out to me at this email address, where it would be my absolute pleasure to help you along this journey in any way that I can. Have a beautiful and blessed rest of your day, and I will see you, beautiful cats, in the next video. Namaste and much love. Woo. Stay healthy. Bye. It's like that, brutal and gutting and deep. This might seem a little strange. Give you some hope, or perhaps turn that frown upside down. You're like unstoppable. Spirituality itself is not inherently hard work. Well, woo. It's bananas, Buttercup.